Okay, open up FLL and get lesson 75. We're going to learn about comparative and superlative adjectives. These are fun and not as difficult to understand as their long names would make you think. So let's say the definition of an adjective. An adjective is a word that describes a noun or a pronoun. Adjectives tell what kind, which one, how many, and whose. So adjectives tell what kind. There are many kinds of tomatoes. Yellow tomatoes, tiny tomatoes, sweet tomatoes, giant tomatoes, juicy tomatoes. So those adjectives tell what kind of tomatoes. Adjectives tell which one. This umbrella, that umbrella, these questions, those answers, the first frost, the last minute. Those tell which one. Which birthday will you celebrate next year? Your 11th? Your 10th? Adjectives tell how many. How many toys do you have? 2 trains, numerous marbles, some puzzles, no model helicopters. Those are adjectives that tell how many. Adjectives that tell whose. So Tan's rice, father's bowls, any kind of personal pronoun that shows possession. So my, mine, your, yours, his, her, hers, its, ours, their, theirs. Those can be adjectives that tell whose. Whose chopsticks? His chopsticks. And now let's skip exercise 1. Oh, no, that's important actually. Okay, so you already know about adjectives that tell what kind. So think of the sentence, bright comets blaze across the sky. What kind of comets? Bright? But imagine you see 3 of them. They're all bright. 3 comets across the sky, they're all bright. How can you tell them apart? Let's look at exercise 1. You can have a bright comet, a brighter comet, and the brightest comet. Look at those adjectives that are in bold. Bright, brighter, and brightest. These adjectives compare the comets. They're all bright, but the second comet is brighter than the first, and the third comet is brightest of them all. So let's look at exercise 2. We're going to pay special attention to the adjectives in bold print that compare. They're comparative or comparing adjectives. The comets we saw had tails. The tail of the first comet was long, the tail of the second comet is longer, and the tail of the third comet is longest. The planets vary in size. Uranus is a large planet, Saturn is a larger planet, and Jupiter is the largest planet. You can tell the relative temperature of a star by its color. Red stars are hot, white stars are hotter, blue stars are hottest. So adjectives like longer, larger, and hotter are called comparative. Because they compare 2 things. Comparative adjectives usually end in ER. Adjectives that end in EST are called superlative. Do you hear the words super and superlative? A sun-sized star is big. A giant star is bigger. The biggest star of all is a super giant. Superlative. That's trying to help you remember. Superlative means it's the biggest or largest or hottest. It is the super adjective. I don't know if that helps. Okay. Just remember it usually ends in EST. Except for best, right? Oh no, best ends in EST. So silly. There's some exceptions, I think. Okay, usually comparative adjectives end in ER and superlative adjectives end in EST. But there are some comparative and superlative adjectives that don't follow the regular pattern. Okay, this will tell us. So let's look at exercise 3. These are irregular comparative and superlative adjectives. Okay. So you have the adjective good. If you're comparing it with something, something could be better. If you're looking at three things, something could be best. That's our superlative. Good, better, best. We have the adjective bad. If something is more bad than whatever you're looking at, it's worse. And if it's really, really bad, it is the worst. So bad, worse, worst. Okay, could have little of something, could have, and then less, and then the least. So let me think of something. Little, less, least. Just remember. Okay, you could have much of something, then you could get more of it, and then you could have the most of it. So much, more, and most. So I have much money. I don't know. You wouldn't really say I have much money. I guess you could. Anyway, I have much money. Someone could have more money, and then somebody else would have the most money. And then many. So I have many cars. I don't. Someone could have more cars, and then someone could have the most. So many, more, and most. In exercise 4, for each set of sentences, we're going to fill in the correct comparative and superlative adjectives. And if you need help, you can look at exercise 3. So let's do number 1. A brightly lit city is bad for stargazing. A cloudy night is worse for stargazing, and a rainstorm is worst for stargazing. That's what it wants you to do. So it wants you to put the comparative adjective in the middle and the superlative adjective at the end. So go ahead and pause me, do 2, 3, 4, and 5 on your own. I'm going to move on to exercise 5. So in exercise 5, I'm going to help you diagram 3 sentences containing comparative and superlative adjectives. So let's look at the first sentence. That supernova is large. Okay. First things first, always, we need to find, and here I'll do this on my whiteboard. First things first, we need to figure out what our verb is. That supernova is large. Our verb is. Okay, what's our subject? What is supernova? Okay. Supernova is what? Is large. Since is a linking verb, we have here a predicate adjective describing the supernova. And then we have a verb or an adjective that tells which one, that. So here would be our diagram. Supernova is large, and that is an adjective. So now let's look at the second one. A larger supernova glows. Okay, I need an eraser. Oh, I've got one on the back of the marker. So, a larger supernova glows. First, we need to find our verb, as always. So our verb is glows. Then we ask what glows, what's our verb? Our subject, supernova. Now we have 2 adjectives that describe supernova. A is an article, but it acts as an adjective, and larger, our comparative adjective. So it goes on the line just like a normal adjective would, but it's a comparative, right? Comparing something. And then the largest supernova dazzles. So our verb, dazzles. What dazzles? Our supernova. And here we have the is an article acting as an adjective. And largest is our superlative, but we put it online just like we would an adjective. So hopefully that makes sense to you. If not, you can go back and rewatch this or talk to a parent. But that's it for lesson 75.